You're sitting on a porcelain throne right now, or you will be later today. It takes about 30 seconds, maybe a minute if you're scrolling your phone. You don't think about it. You barely notice it. Your body processes food, extracts what it needs, and expels the rest through a system so automatic, so seamless, that the only time you ever think about digestion is when it stops working. And when it stops, when nothing moves for 2 days, 3 days, 4, you know exactly what to do. You drink water, eat fiber, maybe swallow a pill from a plastic bottle you bought for $6 at a pharmacy 2 blocks away. Problem solved by Tuesday. Now go back 40,000 years. You are a fully modern human. Same guts, same anatomy, same colon, crouching in a dry grassland somewhere in prehistoric Texas with a belly full of pressure and pain. Nothing is moving. Nothing has moved for days. There is no pharmacy. There's no fiber supplement. There's no doctor to tell you what's wrong. There's just a growing mass inside your lower intestine, pressing against organs, building toxins, and if it doesn't come out, eventually it can kill you. So the question is simple. For hundreds of thousands of years, with no laxatives, no medical knowledge, no understanding of their own internal anatomy, what did ancient humans actually do when they couldn't poop? Let's start with why this question even matters. Because your first instinct is probably this wasn't really a problem for them. And honestly, you're mostly right. But the reason you're right is the real story. Your ancient ancestors ate between 50 and 100 grams of dietary fiber every single day. You, modern you right now, eat fewer than 15. That's not a guess. Paleolithic nutrition research, published across multiple studies, including work referenced by the National Institutes of Health, consistently shows that pre-agricultural humans consumed 5 to 7 times more fiber than you do. Wild roots, tubers, leafy plants, bark, raw vegetables, fibrous fruits, seeds still in their shells. This was the daily diet for over 2 million years. Their intestines were basically never empty. Food moved through them like a river. At Hines Cave in Val Verde County, Texas, archaeologists recovered thousands of human coprolites, preserved ancient feces, dating back roughly 9 years. 70% of those coprolites contained prickly pear skin and fiber. The people who lived there ate so much indigestible plant material that their waste practically held its own shape across 9 millennia. Their guts were machines that never stopped running. Here's what nobody tells you about this. Constipation isn't a random malfunction. It's a disease of civilization. It happens when you eat too little fiber, drink too little water, sit too much, and ignore your body's signals because you're in a meeting or stuck in traffic. Your ancestors did none of those things. They ate nothing but fiber-dense food. They walked 6 to 9 miles a day. They squatted to defecate, which straightens the anorectal angle from about 90 degrees to over 110, fully relaxing the puborectalis muscle and opening the rectal canal to its natural width. A 2025 scoping review published in the medical literature confirmed what biomechanics has known for decades. Squatting is measurably, significantly easier on the human body than sitting upright on a modern toilet. Think about that for a second. The toilet you're sitting on was invented roughly 400 years ago. The human colon has been evolving for millions of years. Your body was never designed for a 90-degree seated position. It was designed for a deep squat on open ground, and for 200,000 years, that's exactly what it did. But mostly right isn't always right, because even in a high-fiber, high-movement, squat-based lifestyle, things still went wrong. Dehydration from drought or intense heat, illness that slowed gut motility, parasitic infections that blocked the intestines, injuries that prevented movement. And when things went wrong in a body with no surgical options, the consequences were genuinely horrific. Here's what doesn't make sense until you think about it. A severe fecal impaction, where hardened stool becomes completely lodged in the colon and refuses to move, can be fatal. It compresses blood vessels, triggers sepsis, perforates the intestinal wall, In modern hospitals, this still kills people when left untreated. For your ancestors, with no understanding of internal anatomy and no ability to intervene surgically, a complete blockage was a death sentence with no diagnosis. You just got sicker, and nobody knew why. The evidence exists in a mummified remains found in the American Southwest, dating to roughly 1,000 years ago. Researchers discovered a man who died with a massively impacted colon. Analysis of his gut contents showed he'd been eating almost nothing but grasshoppers for months, protein with virtually zero fiber. His diet had changed, his gut had stopped, and he died, not from starvation, from constipation. But that was the extreme. For everyday discomfort, for the minor slowdowns that every human gut experiences occasionally, your ancestors had something medicine didn't officially discover for thousands of years. They had plants. At Shanidar Cave in northern Iraq, pollen analysis of a Neanderthal burial dated to approximately 60,000 years ago revealed concentrations of several specific plant species, yarrow, groundsel, and other plants with known stimulant and digestive properties. Yarrow, in particular, has been used across dozens of cultures as a digestive aid and mild laxative. It stimulates bile production and gut motility. Whether the Shanidar Neanderthals were deliberately using these plants for medicine remains debated, but the pattern is consistent. At El Cedron Cave in Spain, 49,000-year-old dental calculus revealed another plan with virtually no caloric value but well-established gastrointestinal effects. These weren't foods. They were medicines being chewed by individuals who apparently needed them. Here's the part nobody talks about. By the time written records begin, laxative knowledge was already ancient. The Ebers Papyrus, an Egyptian medical text dating to approximately 1550 BCE, describes castor oil and cenopods as standard treatments for constipation. But these weren't new discoveries. The papyrus itself notes that these remedies were inherited from older traditions. Senna, castor, and fig-based laxatives appear to have been in use across Mesopotamia and Northeast Africa since at least 2500 BCE, which means the oral tradition, the unwritten knowledge of which plants make your gut move, stretches back further than any text can reach. Thousands of years further, possibly tens of thousands, and the knowledge was specific. Not eat random plants and hope. Specific plants in specific preparations for specific symptoms. Bark that stimulated contractions, leaves that drew water into the intestines, roots that softened hardened stool, seeds that added bulk when food was scarce. Your ancestors built a pharmaceutical toolkit from the ground up, literally from the ground, testing, remembering, teaching, refining across uncountable generations. And there was one more tool, the most obvious one, hidden in plain sight: movement. Walking is one of the most effective natural stimulants for peristalsis, the wave-like muscle contractions that push material through your colon. Your ancestors walked constantly, miles every day, carrying loads, bending, squatting, climbing. Their bodies never sat still long enough for their guts to stall. The modern epidemic of constipation correlates almost perfectly with the modern epidemic of sitting, desk jobs, cars, couches. Your body interprets stillness as sleep mode, and gut motility drops accordingly. Your ancestors never triggered that shutdown because they never stopped moving. Layer all of this together. Your ancestors faced a digestive system identical to yours. Same colon, same vulnerabilities, same potential for blockage and backup. But they defended against it from 5 angles simultaneously. Fiber at 5 to 7 times your daily intake, flooding their intestines with bulk that never let things stall. Constant movement that kept peristalsis firing hour after hour. Squatting posture that aligned their anatomy for effortless elimination. Medicinal plants, yarrow, chamomile, senna, castor, fig, that they discovered, remembered, and passed forward through oral traditions spanning millennia. And water from fresh streams, consumed throughout the day in quantities your 2 cups of coffee morning, doesn't come close to matching. They didn't solve constipation when it happened. They prevented it from happening at all through a lifestyle so perfectly aligned with their biology that the problem barely existed until civilization rearranged every variable at once. You're sitting somewhere right now, probably in a chair. Probably haven't walked more than a few hundred steps today. Probably ate something this morning that contained less fiber than a single wild root your ancestors would have chewed before sunrise. Your toilet is a 90-degree compromise your colon never agreed to. Your gut is running ancient software on a modern schedule it wasn't built for. And somewhere in a cave in Iraq, 60,000 years deep, a Neanderthal chewed a bitter leaf that made everything move again and never once needed a pharmacy to tell him why it worked.